Please introduce yourself for my term paper, please.
Okay, I'm Sherwin Ng. I'm a Singaporean that was raised in Bangkok, Thailand for 18 years. I currently reside in Singapore. My parents are from Singapore, but they moved over to Thailand to do some business, and so I've lived with them ever since. My parents, being Singaporean, they are Chinese origin, so I'm also in a way Chinese. Mm, yeah.
I'm interviewing about your relationship with you and your girlfriend. So, how did you meet your girlfriend?
We studied at the same school. We both went to an international school, Ikama International School, and we got together after we graduated.
Do you find any differences in your culture?
Well, my girlfriend is a full Thai, so we were definitely raised in different environments. I believe she spoke Thai at home growing up and with her friends, and I spoke English at home and with my friends. But other than that, we also like one thing I can think of right now is that, for example, being Chinese, being from a Chinese culture, every day for dinner, the whole family would get together and have a communal dinner, which is um, a pretty standard thing for a Chinese family. But from what I hear from my girlfriend is that her family does not do that often, and I think I feel like that affects how you grow up, and that's just one difference in us.
Mm-hmm. Is there a conflict in terms of cultural differences between you two?
Conflict?
Yeah.
There's not much conflict.
Okay.
Okay, let me explain a little bit about my school because I feel like it's quite important in how I grew up, in affecting how I grew up to be the person I am.
Mm-hmm.
So the school I came from was had about like a 70% Thai students, 70% population of Thai students. So there's a predominant Thai culture in the school. Most people spoke Thai, um, whether in class or out of class with their friends. And being that way, um, I got to experience a lot of Thai cultures and how Thai students would interact with each other and how their perspective on things. But being from an English speaking family, I found myself more at ease with others who spoke English. So I actually made friends with an Englishman, someone that was educated in America, someone from the Philippines. I have friends from China, from Taiwan, from Korea, all over the world. And I, I feel that this exposure to different cultures has made me more able to, or better able to understand people from other cultures, including Thai cultures. So I feel like that has affected my perspective on the world and how I interact with other people.
So that's how you understand her as in Thai culture. So can you explain that as a Thai, what would she do? I mean, that is different from your culture, and you understand her because you were raised in Thailand. But if you were raised in Singapore, you wouldn't understand her. Any situation you can give us?
was raised in Singapore, I do not think my girlfriend would like me. Um, there's a lot of things that Singaporeans do that Thai people do not accept as um, acceptable.
So you understand the term Jack using in Thai culture, right?
Dick. Um, my first understanding of the term dick was actually just a term that meant someone who lived in Thailand but had Chinese origins. It was only very recently that I realized that dick was actually a derogatory term, but I do not feel that it is used very often, and so um, I'm straying from the question. Yes, I do understand the word dick.
Okay.
So yes, sometimes my girlfriend does call me dick. I take it lightly. Yeah, I take it lightly. Uh, it's doesn't affect me too much because I know personally that I am Chinese, but I do not have those traits that are defining as a dick, such as like spitting or kicking your leg up on a table or talking loudly.
What about adjustment? Do you have to adjust or compromise?
No, I don't think there's a problem there.
So do you have any concern about the differences of culture between you and your girlfriend?
I'm very aware that we are from different cultures, and so when I meet her parents, I tend to be very cautious and polite. I do not want to be the stereotypical Chinese person that most Thai people would know of. So this is like an area of concern for me. But I feel like my girlfriend also takes care um, to think about this stuff too when she visits or when she meets my parents. She would ask me like, "What should I call your mom? Should I call her like auntie or ayi, which means auntie in Chinese?" And I think that that's great because we both understand that we are from different cultures, but we try to understand and break down any stereotypes or any potential barriers that might affect our relationship. So I think concern about the other person's culture is good and very important.
Mm-hmm. And you said that you guys have long distance relationships. So how do you guys usually communicate?
Well, we usually chat through the app Line. So it's like a texting app, or very often, like on the weekends, we'll call each other on the app as well. Yeah, so that's how we communicate most of the time.
And what about the linguistic skill? For example, when you communicate through verbal or non-verbal, is there any miscommunication?
I don't think there's a lot of miscommunication between us. Um, Me and my girlfriend, we speak a mixture of English and Thai put together in a way that only we actually understand. Um, I do not see much miscommunication between us.
So when you text, you can't hear the tone or the stress of her side. So, like, how do you know that what she's feeling? Like, what's her real emotion?
But obviously, when you've been together long enough, you can pick up a lot of clues, And so if she says she's fine, and I know she's not, then you know that she's not fine. So even though um, when we're chatting, it's not. I don't hear her voice. I don't hear her tone of voice or how she says it. Whatever she's saying, I can still kind of feel her, what she's trying to express through what she's typing. And even when we're calling, I can hear a tone of voice, although I can't see her like a physical person. I think we have developed a way of communication that is very straightforward and verbal, and we don't try to hide behind um, tones and things like that because it just wouldn't work out for us. Because if that were the case, then we would be arguing about all these little things a lot of time, and we wouldn't have lasted as long as we have.
Once you move back to Singapore, do you have any culture shock because of the difference between the culture there and here?
I wouldn't say I had a culture shock, but more like I had to adjust a little bit because I actually came back to Singapore. I actually come back to Singapore like a few times a year to visit relatives and things like that. And so I would be back here for a few days each time. And so I would experience the culture every time. So when I came back, I didn't really experience any culture shock. But then after being here for some time interacting with the people here, there are some things that they do that I'm not very accustomed to. For example, in Thailand, no one would point at someone else because that would be considered rude. But in Singapore, it's okay because it's not a socially incorrect thing to do. So people do it, and so when I speak to my friends here, sometimes they point at me, and I feel uncomfortable about it. So that's just like a little example of the difference in cultures.
How did you adjust to these differences?
Well, I think after a while I realized that the people I acted with weren't being rude to me, but rather it's just the way they talk and the way they express themselves. And so after a few months, I just took it lightly. I took it that that's just the way that they are. So that's how I adjusted to these cultural differences by understanding them.
Can one say that you're a very understanding person?
So that would
'Cause
be up to someone else to say. I don't think I'm a good person, a good judge of whether I'm an understanding person or not. Maybe you should ask my girlfriend.